and regenerative agriculture is no more a luxury, but it has become a kind of compulsion on all of us. Largely this happened because the use of pesticide and use of chemical fertilizers increased significantly. And the companies like Syngenta and others, they came forward and they wanted a use of the natural resources that are available for the regenerative agriculture. As everybody knows about organic farming, I won't be covering much of that, but organic is a lot better than regenerative. And regenerative is something which is a hybrid way of between the chemical farming and organic farming. So it's a middle way. And since everybody cannot move to organic all of a sudden, second thing, we do not have that kind of resources right now to conduct the organic farming on 100 or 112 million hectares. So regenerative agriculture is the middle way, and generally India takes the middle path. So it's the most suitable for us. Since this is a 45-minute session, I'll be speaking for say 25 to 30 minutes, and then we'll open for the question and answer for the last 10-15 minutes. So regenerative agriculture is a system where rehabilitation of the entire ecosystem takes place. So what it means is we use the roots of the earlier plantation. We do some of the intercropping, and those roots are also used, are kept in the ground. That's largely enhances the organic carbon in the soil. Whereas when we look at the organic farming, it's a clear-cut approach where it's absolutely no to chemical fertilizers, and it is absolute no to chemical pesticides. So here all the emphases are purely nature-based. Whereas the tilling is something which is reduced in regenerative agriculture significantly, and chemical pesticides and chemical fertilizers are used in regenerative agriculture. But the amount of that being used is substantially lower than what is done in the conventional or the modern agriculture. So what are the 5 core principles of regenerative agriculture? So minimize the tilling. So the soil disturbance is as minimal as possible so that the humus level of the 2 to 10 mm on the soil, that remains really good. Second thing is the crop diversity. So taking as many crops as possible. That's the second one. The mulching. So keep the soil covered. The nature based. So do not pick the leaves. Let the leaves remain on the ground and cover. It just does not save the soil organic carbon in the soil. It also saves the soil health. So the soil erosion because of extra heat, as we have seen the soil temperatures in India hit 40-45 degrees Celsius in the month of May. That is also covered soil saves a lot. And the temperature of that, the leaf covered soil is generally 4 to 5 degrees Celsius low. The fourth principle is root. So the roots are kept in the ground. So these roots are kept in the ground. Largely this are kept. So basically, if the first crop is taken, so the roots remain in the ground. Roots remain in the ground, and that cultivates the carbon, soil organic carbon in the soil. The second thing is done, and there is no life in that, but that the biomass of earlier plant that remains in that, and it enhances organic carbon in the soil. So if you do it for 9 years, you can increase your organic carbon substantially from, which is the national average of 0.3 to something like 1.5%. And the last one is integrate livestock. So livestock, the cow manure and cow urine and other animals' urine and manure. So that works in a big way. It is always taken it as a nature-based solution, but if you use too much of poultry-related manure and you use it in a mechanical way, then you may be spoiling the water quality and the soil quality. So livestock. So livestock is something like the chicken, which roams around your farm and does it, that kind of thing. But you bring the poultry litter from the poultry farms, and you spread it on that. So that would be suitable as a calling the integration of the livestock. So I think FAO is all the time talking about soil microbiota. So this is what it works. Now, these are some of the things which you can see that how this soil microbiota works. And Sunil, you have some question? So the soil food web is a higher quality and no-till below ground layers. So what happens is the most important soil, which we take it as the 15 centimeters, the uppermost level of 15 centimeters. And that's where the actinomycetes, this is the antibiotics. This converts the dinitrogen gas to ammonia and decomposes the soil organic matter. So that is something, and the nematodes. So nematodes is something is mineralize the nutrients and eating little. So fungus and bacteria, they eat that up. Nematodes is something which, since they eat up the thing, it does the breakdown of organic matter. And the most important is that increase the whole theater of operation of soil microbiota. So these fungi, algae, bacteria, and other microorganisms, that all of them together and their theater of operation is the soil microbiota as defined by the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. And these are the players in that. Then is the protozoa that mineralizes nutrients. So micronutrients are generally taken care by this protozoa. It is very important for the soil ecosystem because it does the nutrient cycling, decomposition, and overall soil health improves because this is something which increases the soil organic carbon. Fungi, as everybody knows, it's a primary decomposer of complex carbon chains, and mycorrhizals, they transport the nutrients. So basically, they are very important in whatever the methane is there in doing that. So it's a little bag of fertilizer. It breaks the methane, and that is converted into naturally into nitrates, and that is what plants' roots take it. And then there are bacteria. I mean, there are all types of bacteria. So I think most of them is they decompose the simple carbon chains. And that's what the bacteria do. Bacteria also carry most of the micronutrients to the roots of the plant, and that's how that interdependence works. So this is the whole chain that the soil health and fertility works. And these 5 factors actually take care of the whole soil microbiota. Now we look at the conventional farming, how it's not working for good. We have seen, so I mean, we are 330,000 farmers, that is fine. But what we have seen largely is the yields are falling significantly. So in our UP and Bihar surveys, the yields were falling 10 to 15%. But the yields of wheat has fallen substantially by 20% in Punjab and Haryana. So this is definitely will be blamed into the roasting of wheat that happened to the excessive heat in the month of March or the little less winter. But actually this climate resilient agriculture, which used to take place earlier, is not happening because soil is very weak. So the overall soil health is down. And because of that, the soil and the roots cannot take care of the changes that happen in the environment. Second thing, this conventional farming, it very, very works like on a monocultures. So the things are done in a way that it is applicable for the whole of the state. It's not that case. I think the pH and SOC and NPK and the micronutrients, they are different for each and every farm, and that should be taken care of. And then the recommendation should be done. So, and second thing is these chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides, they literally destroy the biodiversity. Second thing is they kill a lot of these major players into the soil microbiota. And they're killed, and some of the percentage goes down so little that even your chemical nitrogen or chemical phosphate, the roots are not strong enough to carry it. And then you have to go for the slow release kind of NPK or other thing. But the real thing is, if the theater of operation of the soil microbiota is good, they will be able to take that. So now this regenerative agriculture, which is the way forward, which is coming up, that takes care of that. Now, biochar, we produce a lot of biochar. This is our own biochar produced by us. This biochar is a garden-based biochar. The first and foremost is a very spongy kind of carbon, source of carbon, very high in fixed organic carbon, and very, very stable form of carbon, which will remain in the soil for 300 to 1,000 years. That is the most beautiful part of that. The soil organic carbon of the soil can be actually fixed for, in 1 to 3 years, it can be absolutely fixed for 300 years. Second thing is the water holding capacity. So what makes it a climate resilient is when there is excessive rain, it holds that 200 to 500% of the water. And when there is a drought, it actually gives that water back to the plant and other thing. So it makes you resilient to the flood, and it also makes you resilient to the drought. So that's the most beautiful. The germination improves with the higher soil organic carbon. And we apply always the activated biochar, which is after activating with the bacteria, and that compost activates, and then all this soil microbiota, the whole theater of operation, they get the housing colony, because it's a very spongy material, the biochar is, and they get the housing colony in that porous material of biochar, and the population actually grows significantly. Second thing, it's good for the soil health because it's higher soil organic carbon, and that the plant resilience increases, and the increase in the plant resilience, it actually takes care of the pathogens and others that attack on the plants significantly. So that's important. And the most important is it takes care of the mitigation of greenhouse gases like nitrous oxide and methane. So it's very beautiful part. And this carbon sequestrate, this remains in the soil for 300 to 1,000 years. So it's not only improves the germination and soil organic carbon of the soil, but it removes the carbon dioxide from the air, and that remains stable for 300 years. Now, what are the rewards of regenerative agriculture? So regenerative agriculture that can lead gradually to the organic farming also. So as we said, that the top 1 centimeter layer is a humus. So that humus remains good. So that remains good means basically to maintain it good, you have good for no tilling. So when you do this, the first thing is what is the 2,000, 2,500 rupees you pay for the tilling. In North, we call it the making of the paris. Here in Maharashtra, you make the pari is a wafa. So that's done. Generally, 10 to 12 years, no tilling is done. And then there is the topsoil and subsoil and parent rock. But even on the topsoil, what matters to us is 15 centimeter of top thing that works. And in that way, we nurture that humus, the top one, and the soil. So no tilling happens means we minimize the disturbance to the soil, and that is how it not only saves 2,000 to 2,500 rupees per year for the farmers, it also improves the yield significantly for the farmers. And when we do not do this, the tilling and other things, the soil microbiota improves significantly. And the theater operations become so active that it becomes active like twice or thrice. Now, when you go for regenerative and you go for purely organic, regenerative organic farm, which we are trying to do in 300 acres in Yavatmal now, it enriches soil organic carbon when we apply biochar from 0.2, 0.3% to 1.5% in 3 to 4 years. And you see that the leaves we do not collect, so leaves remain on the ground. So we provide natural mulching. If animals cannot be fed into the farm, because if they are nothing to eat in the farm, they generally don't get into the farm. So we use the cow manure and other manures for making the compost, and we blend that compost with the biochar. And again, this biochar and compost is something like a tailor-made from the local resources, which takes care of the requirement of the macro and micronutrients. So this is what we do. And second thing, as we said, the water holding capacity of biochar makes it a climate resilient. What would be the rewards of that? So whatever we see, the proteins and the nutrients in the food are going down, or the taste is not so good. They look good, but they are not good. Because of excessive feeding of urea, their size grows up, or because of excessive thing, the germination increases. But the kind of micronutrients that come are not really that good, and they don't taste so good. So when we do the regenerative organic farming, what works for us is the taste is really good. The shape of the fruits and vegetables may not be really great, but the taste is very good, and gradually people come to that. So this works really very good in the way. Second thing is sometimes the size of these products coming out of regenerative organic farming is a lot lower than the conventional farming. But the taste-wise, it is good, and we have seen over a period, the yield doesn't go down. So most of the farmers will be concerned their yields will go down. There is a small drop initially, but now soil organic carbon is so low that UP and Maharashtra, where we do most of the work, is 0.2%. So, and even Telangana, Karnataka, we have seen 0.2%. So that soil organic carbon is so low that soil organic carbon has already brought the yield down. So where the yield is down by 10 to 20%, after moving to the regenerative organic farming, it could be stable or it could be higher. So even in the first year, where the soil organic carbon is 0.2 or less than the national average of 0.3%, actually yield improves. Our nursery expenses are good, and our 300-acre farming is there. Their average yield for last 3 years is 0.8 tons of cotton per acre. If it really moves by 10% or so, we will let you know on all the 16 farmers who have done that. The second reward is, the third reward is it reduces the cost. So the first is the tilling that goes down directly. That saves. Second thing is the de-weeding is done, but the cost which is on paid to the chemical fertilizers, although we think it's they're cheap, they are not actually cheap. So the MOP is 32 rupees and DAP is 30 rupees. Our organic compost and other things, even biochar blended compost right now, we are selling at say 16 rupees or 20 rupees to the farmers, so the channel. Gradually it will move up, but right now we are promoting this 300, 340 tons of this. Gradually it move up. But again, even if it moves up, it will be cheaper than the DAP. Urea is substantially kept lower, and actually our soil has so much of nitrogen, we don't need nitrogen for some time. Second thing is our potash level of Indian soil is also really good, but somehow that potash is not carried by the roots to the biomass growth. So that is something, the issue which can be fixed with the regenerative agriculture. So it's not only saves money on the tilling, it saves money on chemical fertilizers and chemical pesticides also. Since the resilient plant is not so susceptible to the attacks from any pest, and that saves a lot of money on that part. So these are the rewards of regenerative agriculture. So I would like to give you some example of our cotton farmers. So our cotton farmers, where we do most of the work. So I think whatever they read about the 330,000 farmers are actually the cotton and pigeon pea farmers. If you see this organic carbon in North Karnataka is so low that the germination is actually gone down to something like 40, 48%. It's not even 51%, which is the natural rate. And their cotton is also down, and their pigeon pea production, the tur production is as low as 0.6 tons per acre. Whereas Maharashtra, Gujarat, and MP, they have the zero 0.8 tons of average. The second thing, cotton is also has come down from 1 tons per acre to 0.8 tons per acre. I mean, 8 quintals, as which is more or less. So if you do this 8,000 rupees of cotton price, I mean, the minimum support price is 6,500. But this price for that grade actually in the market is 8,000. It has gone to the 10,000 also earlier. And again, because of drought in Xinjiang region, the price of cotton could go up significantly this year also. So if this is 8,000 rupees per quintal and 8 quintals come, so the income for a farmer is 64,000 rupees. And the cost for doing everything is the 6 to 8,000 rupees is the cost of chemical fertilizers. 8 to 10,000 rupees is the cost of pesticides. Labor would be same, 8 to 10,000 rupees. So the input cost of labor, chemical fertilizers, and seeds, that goes to something like 25,000. Then comes the tilling, harvesting, and de-weeding cost. So that thing comes additionally. So earlier 25,000 plus this additional cost of 12,000 rupees. So the total cost goes to 35,000 to 40,000 rupees or 44,000 rupees. And the farmer's net income, which is 64,000 rupees of gross income minus this 44,000, is just 20,000 rupees per acre. Generally, they have 5 to 6 acres. The good farmers who reduce or use the own manual labor of their family, they make a little more at, say, they save on the labor, so their cost comes down to 35,000, but end of the day, that 10,000 rupees of their own labor is considered in that. So net it is always generally 20 to 25,000 rupees being made by the cotton or pigeon pea farmers. Now, when it goes to this, the tilling cost, which is absolutely zero. So that 2,500 of saving. The de-weeding cost goes down drastically. So that 8,000 goes. The chemical fertilizer and chemical insecticides, that cost of 16 to 20,000 rupees goes down to something like, we can use the same amount of money for biochar blended compost or the activated biochar. So that enhances soil and improves the thing. So the cost of inputs actually goes down, where the input, which is the fertilizer cost, we can keep the same 8,000 rupees, or we can increase it because pesticide is not required much, or we can use the wood vinegar coming out of our industrial biochar plants as a plant resilient builder or a kind of herbicide. So that saves the plant from other things. So even if the input cost on fertilizer and pesticides is the same, we can minimize all the cost to 25,000. And when we minimize the cost from 44,000 to say 30,000 rupees or even 35,000 rupees, we bring down the cost by 10,000 rupees per acre. The income actually increases from 8 quintals per acre to 10 quintals per acre. And when 10 quintals per acre, the gross income is 80,000 rupees and expenses are 35,000 rupees. So what you get is 45,000 rupees as a net income. Now the earlier net income was 20,000 rupees. Now the net income is 45,000 rupees. So the reward of this is actually doubling the income. Now where we save a hell lot of money on the pesticides. We save a hell lot of money on chemical fertilizers. And we save our soil and we improve our soil health. And if we really do the application of blended biochar, we fix our soil organic carbon in the soil for 300 to 1,000 years. And that's something which we invest for 16 generations in the future. Will not face any problem on yield reduction or soil health in a significant way. With this, I'll stop. I think I kept it largely in line. You can connect with us. Kanchan looks after this initiative. Our email ID is also farmer producer companies, fpc@varad.in. My details are given there. So we are here in Pune, we are in Anand in Gujarat, and we are also in Nagpur. So that is what we are right now, and we are expanding in other areas. We are in Noida also, and we are in Rohtas, Bihar also. So this is what all about us. We are very happy to answer your questions on regenerative agriculture as well as regenerative organic farming. So I'll keep this up, whichever question is there, so I can take you to that particular slide and we can talk on that. Or if you have any general question, then we can take the presentation out. So thank you very much for your attention.